Hello, my name is King Link, and today we're doing a look at Satisfactory. We'll call it a preview. I normally don't do previews except for the Humble Monthly Bundle because there's a time limit on that, but here, I'm not doing a full review soon, so we'll just take a quick look. In addition, I'm changing a few more things. I'm actually doing a few clips rather than just one 30-minute experience on film, so take a look at that. We'll talk about each clip, what's special about it as they come up. With that said, this is a game that I've actually been interested in. It's similar to a game called Factorio, and the more I played it, the more I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what this is. That's not a bad thing. Factorio is a 2D top-down view game which allows you to build really freaking big machines. Satisfactory seems to be a 3D version of that game that does exactly the same thing, and in that way, I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far. I don't know if I'm ready for the early access, but I'm going to continue. The one thing I will say is this was on Epic. I don't know if they're going to have Steam for the early access. I can only hope, because competition's good. With that said, yeah, so there's 3 different areas that they claim, but they only have one in the alpha. Don't know if those are going to be in the early access or if those will come online eventually. Either way, that's cool. And we'll be starting to load in, but I wanted to show something first. I did not show the options. As you see there, arachnophobia mode. I want to just applaud a developer who heard there was a problem with their games. People don't like spiders, and so they made the change to make it a better game. The other options are pretty standard. The one thing I did want to point out, I am running at medium just because I wanted a better frame rate. You can see the fraps in the upper left, and then you can actually remap keys, so that's also a really nice touch. But the arachnophobia mode is appreciated, not because I'm afraid of spiders, but I know there's people who are, and it shows the devs care about the community. So, alright, that was good. Alright, so this is the end of the loading screen, and we'll let the opening kind of play out. So we'll do about, I think it's about 16 minutes in the main game of just the opening content. Let me hear me
Attention
breathing.
Pioneer. The following instructional video is a summary of your impending duties as an exoplanetary pioneer for Fixit Incorporated.
Fix it. I love that.
Fixit pioneers have 3 cyclical assigned pillars of work to ultimately accomplish project assembly. Use provided blueprints to build the necessary buildings. Chart the planet and gather resources to provide desired results and improve your infrastructure. Make sure to report any unusual discoveries to R&D for analysis. Expand your factories, outposts, and pipelines through automation and augmentation. That's it. Get to work and be effective.
There we go. So yeah, that's the
Warning,
opening cinematic.
Please remain seated during
It's not real.
full
It's an
procedure.
in-game cinematic, but basically,
Atmospheric
this is how it
entry in
starts.
5,
And you can
3,
see I'm looking
2,
around here.
1. Planetfall
Both
procedure
games start this. Both
initialized.
games I played started this way. The one change I did notice is the starting location is very similar, but the first game I was up on the cliff. The second game I was on a lower cliff. It looks like the map's always the same. Kind of hope to do a procedural generated map eventually. It's not something that's critical for right now. It's actually better not for the alpha, so that you can actually play with the pieces. But definitely something that I'd like to see with this game. And I do like this opening. It's actually really cool. It reminds me of a Bioshock Infinite in reverse. Going up and coming down instead of going up, but still a very cool opening. Makes you wonder what's out there.
Planetfall complete. Please ensure the integrity of your
But yeah, I'm
multi-purpose
slightly
exploration
in a
system
different
is at
place than the first
100%.
game I played. Not a big difference, and I don't think that's too important. It's just something to note, and I think that might be because
Efficiency
you
first.
can do multiplayer here as
Godspeed.
well. So I'm imagining there's probably 4 drop points. Of course, it's important, and you'll see exactly why in a second. So the big thing, as you see, is I'm
Welcome
looking
to Planet
around.
Massage 2 ABB, your designated sector in the binary star system of Akicha. I am Ada, also known as Artificial Directory and Assistant, tasked to support pioneers, such as you, in their mission. You are the third of your sector to survive planetfall. Congratulations.
I don't know if that's a good thing or if a lot of people have died. I'll let Ada talks a bit. So
onboarding.
the big thing is there's actually a really nice tutorial, and you'll see me pretty much play a majority of it here. I have to be honest, the tutorial is great because it goes up in stages and it kind of gives you the idea of what you need to do, not exactly what you need to do. Right here, they want you to deconstruct. Unfortunately, I forgot how to do this another time. Not on the video, but another time. But it's nice to start off with deconstruction.
Please ensure you have your fix-it
You'll see me pick up flowers and all. These, it's unsure if there's other uses for them, but I believe they're mostly used as biomass, and that's to help power stuff eventually. And you see I picked up my device. What's odd is the first time I played it, I don't remember it sparking, and I don't know if it sparks every time you attack, but it is your defensive capabilities. If you don't have this tool equipped, you don't have the ability to attack at all. You can't just punch or anything else. And you'll see me pick up nuts there. I'll talk about those in a bit. But yeah, you have this ability, you have a scanner that you click, and it will show you the entire world around you. And then just as you see up on the top of the screen, you'll see locations of resources. And then here's a weird, wonderful creature that I think, yep, and then there's an enemy as well. So these are the, and I'm going to call out stuff like similar to Factorio. It's not a negative. Oops. I didn't mean to hurt that guy. But these are kind of like the biters, just very simple, dumb animals that try to attack you. And we'll look at those creatures, the flying one at least, a little more later. But yeah, so you can do this ping, and it shows you all the locations. What's interesting is this field that I'm about to reach is exactly the same field that I picked up the first game.
Possesses minor healing properties.
Again, I don't know if this is just very bad luck and that I found the same area, but actually I kind of like the area that I'm in, and you'll see later it's nice because I actually do something in my later game that shows off what you can do with this, so that's nice. Though I do have a question for you guys. What song does this remind you of?
Fourth objective, build the hub. Note, to complete this objective, the resources salvaged
to me it sounds like We Will Rock You every time I hear this. And it's not bad, it's just like, it's very hard to mind yourself while you're singing we will rock you. So yeah, but yeah, the big piece here is you can find these ore, and what you're seeing here is me chipping away at the top piece. I believe the top piece that you see me working on gives you more ore. The bottom piece gives you a slower feed of ore, but the thing is the bottom piece doesn't seem to run out. I don't know if that will change. Probably will eventually because it seems a little bit too easy to exploit. But yeah, you're able to quickly mine, and then as you see, I'm building the hub. Now this is kind of the core of the entire game. When you build this hub,
you have unlocked,
from what I've seen so far, this is your base, and this is actually where you build your bio burner and more. Basically everything has to be built off of this, and so on. The big trick here is that each upgrade, I'm going to go quickly through the upgrades here, but each upgrade of this piece is used to get to the next tier, and the first tier needed, I believe it said 10 rods, and here I'm building the rods. Man, I wish I could see this on a bigger screen. I'm actually watching this in my editing software because I don't know why. Actually, I might even be able to. But yeah, this is just basically how you craft, and if this seems boring, I agree. This is the one negative. The nice thing is the game will give you a better way to do this in a little bit. I'll show you that in a different clip, though, because it takes a long time to reach that level. But yeah, so we basically have built some rods, we built some plates, and the reason why I built plates is I know I'm going to need them eventually. And there we go. The hub will upgrade, and you'll actually notice different changes as it upgrades, which is kind of a nice feature of the game.
You have
I love the building
hub
up.
feature, biomass generator. Hub feature, personal storage. Scanner feature, copper. New equipment, buildings, and blueprints, which can be found in the workshop when built, build menu, and craft bench respectively. Sixth objective, hub upgrade, construction. Note, connect buildings to a generator for power. Note, buildings
So yeah,
such as the
right there I was
smelter
looking for my
require a
equipment
blueprint to be set.
creation,
Advice,
and what I wanted to do
automate
is
the
just show
smelting
mining,
process and use
how you
portable
could mine
miners for
otherwise.
optimal results.
Fortunately, I missed it. Yeah, there I am going off all violent. But we will get there. Of course, I will go off and find the copper that I need for the next upgrade. And as you see, I know where it is because I saw it before, but also the ping showed me where it was. And just because of memory, I was like, okay, don't need to keep pinging. You can constantly ping, and what was nice, if you also noticed, is you can choose any type of ore. So if you want to get iron ore, you can ping that. If you want to get copper ore, you ping that. And you're able to, you're only able to select one, but you're also able to just ping as you need. And here I just gather about 100 because that's a good number of ore, just to start out with. And because I'm dumb, I didn't realize I could do what I needed. And voila, here's an enemy. Now, unfortunately, this part of the game becomes a little bit, well, let's just say my playstyle is not exactly the best. I'll let you see what's going on. And yeah, again, I'm still here. We will rock you. Every time. I don't know if that's intentional, and if it is, kudos, but God. And in addition, it actually is interesting because it makes me not want to mine, which is good because you really shouldn't be manually mining that often. Like, the opening of the game does have you manually mine, but you'll see in a minute what you can do in addition to it. The game also mentions power. We'll look at that in a minute as well. How are we doing on? Yeah, we're about 12 minutes in. Just seeing how much more of this clip there is. And as you see, here we go. You can dodge these guys, which is cool, and then you can lose them. But if you look in the bottom left, you do see my life. I did not do good. Yeah, there was a quick respawn. Now, I do want to talk a bit about the respawn in a minute, but we'll get there. The nice thing, though, is I do get this green indicator on the top of my screen. Don't know what that is, and I'm assuming that's just a player marker, so if other players are around, you can see where they are, but it doesn't work exactly right. And then, me being the idiot I am, I have to go back and get it. But here's the downside. You can't attack unless you have this weapon in your arm. There's no way to fight him. And unfortunately... Oh, and now I have two guys to fight, which does not help anything. And you see, he can punch. He can punch physically. But it just does not work exactly like I expected. And it'd be great to have some kind of minor way to fight without getting your loot back. But unfortunately, that's not in the game. I think the goal is you're supposed to go and make one of these things and store it in your base so that you don't have this issue the next time around. And of course, I'm gonna... Let's see, man versus monster. I'll call a biter a monster. And here we go, running back to the base. It's not working well. Yeah, there we go. Death right there. Good news is it's right at the base. It doesn't look like they can attack onto the base, and I think that might be a glitch of their height and the step up. There's no way up. But, just something to do. So the quick version of this, let's see. And I was going to cut out those clips, but I wanted to show you me getting back. The opening here is not bad. I mean, like, this is the opening minutes of the game. And yeah, again, building, it's dull, but one thing that's interesting in this game, and in pretty much all these games, is you get this really bad repetitive task that sucks, like building copper ingots. And then the game shows you a way to do this without you having to grind to do it. And I have this idea of doing a grind as gameplay video, but this is the right way to do it. The grind comes in, and this is also how incremental games do it sometimes. Grind comes in, you don't like the grind, and then they give you a reward to avoid the grind. So here, I can make cables, I can make wires. It's taken a long time, not excessively long, but eventually it's going to be like you need to make 500 or 700 of these. And the good news is the game has ways for you to do that quickly without having to sit here and just hold a button down, which is probably the worst way a game could make this. With that being said, and what you see me doing is I'm going for that top piece. Again, I misread something and I did not realize I could make this at the tier 1 that I'm at. So I went to tier 2. Not a bad thing because it at least shows you a little more of the game. And then this is the add to do list. So if I wanted to build 10 rods, it actually can give me a complex. You have to do all this stuff to get the rods. And as you see in the right, it's going. I thought this would be an automated process. It's not. It's just a way to track your progress of the game. Oh well, not bad. And there we go. Let's build up to next tier. And that, you can easily shift click and just drag stuff over it. That was nice. And there we go. The one thing I like is, again, the hub has upgraded. You have a better looking hub. That's kind of a cool thing to do.
Congratulations. You have unlocked Scanner Stone. New buildings and blueprints, which can be found
you see me
in the
touching the
build menu
constructor.
and
We will
craft
talk
bench,
about that in
respectively.
just a few minutes.
7th objective, hub upgrade, conveyor belts. Note, use power poles to expand the power network for optimal results. Note, constructors are capable of constructing copious parts, of which only one type
And
at
I'm
a
about to
time.
have the spark of inspiration. Sorry I haven't been talking. I've been watching myself be an idiot. And there we go. Now we can build the equipment workshop. In the game, I'm like, oh, Jesus, I can't believe I missed that for so long. Now, the equipment workshop is where you can build, like, deployable equipment or your weapon. I actually don't know what the weapon costs, but if you hit E to use this stuff, you can actually see you have the portable miner and the Xenozapper. The Xenozapper is my weapon. And voila, I'm building some miners. I think I'll build 2. There we go. And I'll just show you quickly how easy it is to use these. And what's great about them is you basically will use them and you have the miners. The downside is you actually have to replace that weapon again with the miner. There's no... I didn't see any way to do a quick key to switch to your weapon. I'd love that change. And there we go. So, at least at tier 3, we need to grab... what was it? At tier 3, we need to grab limestone and then copper. And so you just see me deploy. And then from there, we'll go on to something else. I believe I remember what it is, but I'm going to let it show. And voila. I mean, that's pretty simple. Over time, those things will bring in ore. 100 ore without interaction, and then you can just quickly grab it and upgrade it. So I did get injured off that jump. How do you get healed? Well, I wanted to show a few other things, but here you can see wood is on the ground. I don't know a way to harvest wood other than finding it on the ground, and you'll see me grabbing leaves and other stuff. In addition, I figured out finally that there's these nuts and berries that you saw me grab. If you do get some of them, you can eat them. I don't think there's a way that I've seen to get the health back other than scavenging and finding this food. And then, oh, what's that? That's our flying friend again. I have to admit, he's kind of cool looking. The one downside of eating, though, again, you take your weapon out of your inventory, And then I really want to know if that's intentional, if that's how it was supposed to be. But here we go again, and here's a nicer version of the flying creature. I don't know if there's a way to attack them or stop them or interact with them, but honestly, I love seeing the life of this world. And I have a feeling eventually, they talk about scanning and understanding this planet, but I did not see a way to use the carpus that I got earlier. Okay, so now we're going to build something a lot bigger. As you can see there, you had 100 ore in the thing, but I took the miner, so I got the miner back and the ore. And what I'm doing, I'll do it quickly here, but basically, I'm building a miner MX1. Now, this is at the 3rd tier, and I start building something bigger than just a mining section. And voila. So I can now build the miner. I'm now going to connect it to my smelter, which will smelt ore. And then that conveyor belt connection system is actually really nice. There's a few limitations, distance, and then the conveyor belts themselves always move, so you never have to worry about that. And you can see here what I'm looking for is my next milestone, 150 plates, which would take a lot of time to get, 500 copper wires, which takes a decent amount of time. And then what you see is I'm also going to be hooking up my power lines. So what I want to do is I want to give that power line a second node. And then I did the wrong thing again. But yeah, so basically you have power lines. And you have to connect your power producers to the power lines. And where am I going? Ah, there we go. I need ore for this, or cables for this. And we'll see me build out more of those things in a minute. But yeah, basically build a power line. If you build the power line to a spot, you can actually drop a new tower, whatever you want to call it. And then you can connect this tower up as necessary, and connecting it to all your different machines. What you have to do from there is provide power. This thing looks like it's not working, and what I believe is happening is it just doesn't have enough power. I actually got quite confused on this because I'm like, okay, do I have to turn it off, on? No. And it does look really cool. You can actually climb all the way up there and all. Voila. So we ran out of power. And what we're going to do is actually add in new power to these burners. And voila. We've now made a complex system that can hook up all these machines to one grid. One trick here is you actually can build different grids, or you can build singular grids. And so now we need to fuel these pieces. So what we're doing is, I put in wood. Turns out wood might not be the best thing to put in. I think you should put it, you can make wood into biomass. And biomass is just kind of a generic, this burns for 5 seconds, produces this much energy, and voila. And all of a sudden, we now have the iron ore coming out, which is great. Next step, we're going to grab we need that to build iron ingots. Then we'll come over here. We want to build plates because that's the next thing required. So we're going to switch to iron plates. And I didn't show it popping in. And we actually just need the iron plates. We don't need the final piece. That constructor there can do whatever it wants to do. So that's how you build out a simple system. But I got this crazy idea. How about if you remember where the copper was, again, this is the same layout, just a different game. If you remember where that copper was, could we build, how hard would it be to build a conveyor belt up there? The answer is, well, you can't build the entire length in one go because the conveyor belts have limits. You do need to put down poles as you go, but, well, you'll see. I'm going to challenge this and see how far out I can go. And yeah, see, I'm going too far there. I need to bring it back, and voila. I mean, the building of the conveyor belts in this game is actually really satisfying. It's almost satisfactory. Yeah, I'll punish myself for that later. But it's really nice to be able to build out these long paths, essentially. And you'll see, the one problem I do have when building right here is I'm running out of plates constantly, so I'm going to just keep building more and more plates just so I can build it out. Plates are easy to get, as you'll see. It's not a challenge to get them, and you'll see this piece right here is actually building them that I don't even look at. You can even see the direction of the path. And the next challenge is, how do I get it up that slope? Now, I'm sure there's many ways to do this, but what I ended up doing is I just ended up building on the pathway itself. Like, you can see there's a nice curve right there. So, place it. There we go. And so from there, I basically wanted to see, is this going to be complex to make it go up this path? And surprisingly, the answer is no. I actually was ready for a real struggle of, doesn't go here, doesn't fit there, that line has to go in the wall. And as you see, I'm just basically drag and dropping it in places, and there you go. Am I gonna move it? And I think I ran out of ore, so I had to run back for a second. What's cool is you can actually ride these conveyor belts. It's pointless because they don't move that fast, but it is a nice touch. And there we go. So that piece was building those iron plates while I'm not there. Nice touch also for the game. I mean, that is the purpose of the game. Eventually you'll get assemblers that can build bigger things from two different pieces, but yeah. And then I'm just making sure I have enough, because if I don't want to keep running back and forth. That would suck. But yeah, it's a nice, simple game, and like I said, it does the 3D Factorio. What I really wanted from this game is essentially this, building these big, monstrous structures. The one question I had is, how far could you go in the game, and we'll even see the end game. That's one of the reasons also I'm showing this. I only played a couple hours here, so it's actually pretty fast to get to this level. And this is where the real automation goes. And this is where you can kind of kick back. Now, that's one of the negatives of the game, in that these things only work as fast as the game time goes. There's no speed up, but that's not such a big complaint. And as you see, I'm going to try to get it up on this thing, and it will start saying, I know that worked. Sometimes it will say the slope is too high, as you'll see up on this piece, I believe. Or it collides with the ground, and it's not that smart. There you go. Perfect. And then it's not that smart. It will actually collide with the wall. I think we'll see that in a second. But it actually is easy to build out these paths, and I like that. That's actually one of the better pieces of this game, because in Factorio, it's really easy to build out a path because you're on a 2D plane and you don't have to care about geometry or anything. Here, a lot of stuff starts mattering more. Which direction stuff is facing, what height it is. And I was ready for like this absolute pain of putting down single pieces of conveyor belts. Instead, this thing just allows you to point and click a conveyor belt, and that's actually a really nice touch. And as you see, I'm looking there, it goes through that wall, but I believe I am out of iron plates again. I'd love to have done this really seamless, but the thing is, I wanted to show you the process of building in this game. You know, you go back, you build more plates. You forget that your constructor over there is building plates already, so you just build them yourself. And what's great is, once you build out your machines, you can actually go explore. You can do anything else other than monitoring your machines, because it will work. And the next thing I wanted to do is try to connect the power lines up to my plant. And the question is, can I just run this wire? It looks like I can, but the fact is, there's a limitation to it, and we'll see that in just a second. It's actually not that bad of a limitation. I don't know if the enemies will actually attack these emplacements or anything. I can't tell you. Again, that's something Factorio does it. This game, I don't know if they have the aggressive life in there yet. Aggressive, what do you call it? Fauna? Aggressive aliens. But yeah, you see, I'm trying to connect it, and it says it's too long. The good news is that's not too long. And you can see I'm going like a really long distance here. That's too long, but even right there is still... It feels like it'd be too long, but you know what? The game's pretty lenient on that. And I have to applaud that. I really do like how little of that there is. And even here, the conveyor belt, it doesn't stick. So what I ended up doing is... build there, delete that. And from what I've seen, when you delete something, you get 100% of your pieces back, which is something that I wish a lot of games would do because it allows you to make mistakes. When players can make mistakes, they experiment more, and that actually produces a better game for them. You know, punishing people because they put something in the wrong place really sucks to me. And it's something I keep seeing in games. It's just like, let your players explore. So yeah, that is essentially how you build a very long conveyor belt. I did make a mistake here. I don't believe I show it, but this thing can't actually build what I want it to. I forgot to put a smelter in the way, but eventually I'll just delete it and put it in place. And it's actually not a bad system to do that with. There's a lot of flexibility. Like, you could even have a smelter that takes the copper ore and then delete one piece of conveyor belt and make the limestone ore come in that way too. Choices like that are really nice. Like I said, I keep saying the word kind of fluid, and it's just like you can keep changing this game as you want. So the final piece here is what's the end game? So basically I've finished all the tier 0 stuff, and you can see right now honestly it's not that exciting to me. There is not much to build out. There's end game goals. You can see the expense at the bottom of the screen, and it's pretty expensive, like hundreds of ore to build up and build them. But the big piece at the end of the game, I believe, is the space elevator, which you click on it and voila, you can build the final piece of the game. And what it will do is it allows you to build the big ass space elevator, and essentially that's the end game process. Now there's upgrades beyond that point. I haven't built it, I'll admit. I haven't waited that long, and it will take a decent amount of time, as you see. But you know, if you're looking for an end to the alpha, that's where you are. And I think, I don't even know if I point out the size of it, but it is a massive construction. Yeah, I don't. So yeah, that is Satisfactory, and honestly, it is a satisfactory game too. It's exactly what I wanted. Like I said, I keep using Factorio. It's similar to that, and it's a 3D version of it. It has the same kind of gameplay, and just a different universe. And honestly, I think the 3D version does make it a little more interesting. Though, I did play this on Epic. I do hope they're bringing it back to Steam eventually. I play everything on Steam. I like the Steam reviews and all that. And of course, I got my start on Steam Curator. But as it is, I know they're going into early access. I don't know how long they'll be there, what their long-term plans are. But the alpha looks like it's done quite well for itself. I'm impressed by a lot here. And I was ready for the conveyor belt to be awful. And honestly, it looks extremely well designed, well made. With all that said, I'm just playing some random footage that I just found here, but essentially I'm looking forward to this. I'm hopeful for it, and I just wanted to kind of cut together a preview of what I've seen and talk about it for a little bit. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, consider subscribing. I appreciate that, and it really means a lot to me. I do honest reviews. I do a few previews now, and we'll see what comes up next. Otherwise, I'll be back to reviewing very soon, guys, but thank you for watching this, and I'll see you next time.